Hello there, lovely people, it's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and as you can probably tell, I'm really excited because today I get to talk to you about Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, and not just the demo version. The game's coming out on the 13th of February, and the very sort of core, basic concept of it is you run around and hunt monsters, as the title suggests. Now, that may seem like a terribly simple concept, particularly by modern standards, but bear with me, it's a lot more complicated than it sounds. But before we get onto that, more basic information about the game. I mean, like I say, you run around hunting monsters, and you get a choice of 14 different weapons, and they range from ranged weapons, there are a lot more close-up weapons, but they all behave very differently. Some of them are very heavy and slow, some of them are more sort of agile and nimble and quick and do less damage, like the dual blades or the insect blade, which I'm very fond of, which is brand new for this game, and there really is an enormous amount of variety between just the weapons. So what about the monsters themselves? Well, there's 75 of them in the game, at least the large monsters. There are also some smaller monsters that run around, but they're a little bit insignificant when you see the enormous ones that make themselves known without a doubt. For anyone who's played Monster Hunter 3, I know there were a lot of sort of winged wyverns, and there wasn't an awful lot of variety. It was still great, it was still a fantastic game, but the variety in monsters wasn't perhaps as broad as it could be. Well, I'm happy to say in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, they have turned that completely around. The monsters are all mental. There are giant spiders, there's a sort of a giant baboon thing, there's of course the standard wyverns, so the running along the ground ones like the Great Jaggy, and of course you've got the winged wyverns as well. There are loads, and I've only been playing the game for about 30 hours, so I've scratched the surface, and that is saying something for a game. And you won't be fighting these monsters alone, which would be a little bit lonely. You get these little companions that you can take with you called palicos, which are felines in the game, and they are basically cat people, and that sounds a bit weird, but they are much more like cats than they are people. They can just sort of talk and stand on their hind legs, and they're really cool, actually. We had Kayamba and Cha-Cha in the previous game, and they were pretty cool. I liked them, they were individual characters, but these felines, the palicos, you can customize them and make them your own. Also, what's new is that the worlds have a greater focus on vertical space, so it's not just running along plain flat areas like it kind of was in Monster Hunter 3. Yeah, there were a few up and down bits, but they were really just transitions into new areas. And so it really does open up the gameplay. Some of the monsters are some of the most unique that I think the series has ever had. They're swinging from multiple levels, sort of a vine covering that you get over the top of some areas, and they're swinging down from it and they're climbing on top, and you have to try and climb and keep up with them and predict what they're going to do. It's crazy. Now, appropriately, many people have likened the game to looking almost identical to Monster Hunter 3, and there's a lot of truth in that. I believe it runs on the same engine. It certainly feels like it does. But you really have to look deeper to see the differences, and there are a lot of them. Yes, it's certainly more evolution than revolution. It's not a completely brand new game with new graphics, shiny and all that. It is very much an evolution, as I've said, of Monster Hunter 3. So don't go in here expecting a brand new experience, but bear with me. All of the elements that are new to Monster Hunter 4, such as the new monsters, a lot of them are actually monsters from previous games, but weren't in Monster Hunter 3, so they're new to me at least. And you've got the new weapons and the verticality and the different things you can do with the monsters. You can now mount them and stab them in the back, which is fantastic, or neck maybe. It depends what the monster is and where you're stabbing it. These all boil down to an experience that feels like a much more refined, enjoyable experience, but is still very familiar, which is important because Monster Hunter's been going for quite some time, and if they change the formula up too much to try and appeal to a new audience, they'd probably alienate the old lot, who are probably their biggest share, as I'm sure you can imagine. But of course Capcom did want to appeal to a wider audience, and so they had a really difficult task trying to make it faithful but also more appealing, because Monster Hunter is a series that is a bit renowned for being difficult to get into, and it really is not an easy game to get into. It took me months of sporadic playing, a few hours here and there in Monster Hunter 3 to even get into grips with it, because it's so sort of poorly laid out. But luckily Monster Hunter 4 is more accessible. Having said that, it's still not very accessible. This is just another thing that makes the game what it is though, because a lot of the gameplay and the enjoyment comes from the knowledge. You've got to learn how the monsters behave and when you can attack them, where are the weak spots and things like that. And these are all important things, and these are what make the game so special. And so if it was really easy to get into, you couldn't really get that same experience. So I think, although perhaps they aren't going to get as many new players as they hoped, Capcom have done a really great job in trying to make it as appealing as possible to the older audience, while still making it a little bit easier to get into. The difficulty is significantly lower than on Monster Hunter 3, at least to begin with. I found myself very, just sort of waltzing through the large monsters to begin with, and yes, I have experience with Monster Hunter 3, and that does make a big, big difference, and it certainly has got more difficult as the game has gone on, so I think if you're looking for a challenge, you're still not going to be disappointed, but you're just going to have to be patient. And patience is one of the most important things in Monster Hunter, particularly if you're a new player, because if you're not patient and you're rushing around just trying to get things as quickly as possible, you're not going to have a lot of fun, because it really is quite slow moving to begin with. Then once you've got into the flow of it and you've done all the tutorials, which incidentally take a couple of hours, you can really start to enjoy the game, and it is an experience like no other. As enjoyable as it is running around with your little palicos, stabbing things in the neck and carving bits off and giant monsters, it really pales in comparison to the multiplayer experience, which is where you go around with other hunters. And yes, it's fully online, which is something that the 3DS version of Monster Hunter 3 didn't have, which was mental. The multiplayer online works an absolute dream. Local is just as good. Honestly, it's so smooth. It's absolutely fantastic. It feels like a really, really big step forward into online capabilities for Nintendo, because they still have been a little bit backwards in that sense, except with Smash Bros. That's great. One thing that is almost unacceptable though about the multiplayer is that there's no voice chat, and in a game like Monster Hunter, voice chat is almost a necessity when it comes to the more difficult monsters, and trust me, there are some enormously difficult monsters. There's an in-game chat system which is just text-based, and you have some little phrases that you can yell out, and some will yell out automatically, for example when you get on the back of a monster, or when you've been stunned or put to sleep or got another status ailment. But it's just not the same as being able to dynamically say, "Ah, look out, he's coming from the back." Overall though, it's an absolutely stellar game, and easily one of the deepest, if not the deepest experience of a game on the 3DS. And Mr. Tom Whitehead, who did the full review on NintendoLife.com, saw fit to give this a 9 out of 10, which I am wholeheartedly behind. Nearly thought about maybe giving it a 10, me personally, but the difficulty of getting into it if you're a new player and the lack of online chat just dropped it down a little bit. Sorry. If that didn't satisfy your lust for Monster Hunter goodness, then be sure to check out the full review on Nintendo Life. There'll be a link in the description, so be sure to read that. It's a lot more comprehensive than my random babblings. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, find that subscribe button, lay a pitfall trap down and throw some trank bombs at it, and be sure to check out NintendoLife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye bye.